So this video is about one of my favorite things. I've always been interested in Wild West history and things of that nature. I've been specifically interested in Billy the Kid, anything that revolved around Billy the Kid. I've paid a lot of attention to. I've read some books on the subject. I think I kind of got interested in it after Young Guns came out. So it was a pretty cool movie. So I started reading up on it and learning more about it, and I always wanted to go to the places where this stuff happened. So in 2008, when I got back from Iraq for the second time, I had bought a motorcycle, and I didn't even know how to ride a motorcycle. I learned how to ride it, got my license, and a week later I went to New Mexico from Fort Hood, Texas, to go to Lincoln, New Mexico, where a lot of stuff that happened to Billy the Kid happened, and I got a bunch of pictures of the places that revolve around things he did, and went to White Oaks, New Mexico, which is a ghost town, and then to Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where he was shot and killed in his gravesite. So anyway, this was back in 2008. Obviously it was a while back, but all I have is pictures. I don't have any video, but strung all the pictures together and gonna tell the story about me going to New Mexico and seeing the Billy the Kid sites on my brand new motorcycle. First trip on that bike. Thanks for watching. Here I am hitting the road, heading from Fort Hood, Texas to Lincoln, New Mexico. It's me arriving in Lincoln, New Mexico. I stayed in the famous Wortley Hotel, which was once owned and operated by Pat Garrett, the man who shot and killed Billy the Kid. This is an early picture of the Wortley Hotel. And this is the back of the Wortley Hotel. This is me parking my motorcycle right next to my room. I stayed right there in the back right corner. One of the side stories was, well, after I checked in, I think I stayed in room 3, and I heard the story that room 4 was haunted. And I went up front and tried to change my room to room 4, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to be in a haunted room, but I was in room 3, which was pretty nice. Really old, obviously. I was so young. This is the view from the Wortley Hotel looking at the courthouse where Billy the Kid was held in jail. The courthouse was the Murphy Dolan store at one time, and it was turned into the courthouse. This plaque says, Murphy Dolan Store, built in 1874 as a place of business and residence of L.G. Murphy and Company, a dominant factor in the area in 1870s and headquarters of the Murphy faction during Lincoln County War. Firm failed and store became county government and judicial center for 33 years. This is the courthouse and jail where Billy the Kid was held, awaiting execution by hanging. Deputy Ollinger had other prisoners across the street at the Wortley Hotel eating, and Billy the Kid asked to go to the outhouse, and Deputy Bell escorted him to the outhouse. On the way back into the courthouse, Deputy Bell was following Billy the Kid up the stairs, and no one knows exactly what happened, but somehow Billy the Kid turned around and shot Bell, and this here is the hole in the wall where he shot Deputy Bell. Deputy Bell stumbled outside and in the back of the courthouse and died here on this spot. Billy the Kid then ran upstairs, grabbed a shotgun, and ran to this window Deputy Bob Ollinger, who was at the Wortley Hotel, heard the shot that killed Deputy Bell. Ollinger assumed that Bell had shot the kid and ran from the Wortley across the street to the courthouse. Bell stopped at the little marker there on the ground. Billy the Kid lowered the shotgun on Bell, and this was Billy the Kid's vantage point. Billy the Kid was reported to have said, "Hi, Bob," shot him with both barrels, and then said, "Bye, Bob." And this would have been Bob Ollinger's view, looking up at the window that Billy the Kid was standing in. And he is reported to have said, somebody said that the kid has killed Bell. And Ollinger said, "Yeah, he's killed me too." This is the spot where Bob Ollinger died, killed by Billy the Kid. This is a picture of the shotgun that killed Bob Ollinger. I believe it's now in the Texas Ranger Museum in Waco, Texas. These are either a replica or the shackles that held Billy the Kid. He was famous for having big wrists and small hands, and bragged about being able to get out of these shackles. After the shooting, Billy the Kid came out on this balcony, which at the time did not have stairs going to it from the outside, and gave a speech just like a politician would to the townspeople about why he did what he did. And he asked some of the people there to fetch him a horse, and they did. This is the Tunstall store. John Tunstall was Billy the Kid's employer and was killed by the Murphy-Dolan faction, and which started the Lincoln County War. This is a cutout in the floor where it was once said that Billy the Kid had hid from authorities at one time in this hole. Out behind the store, Alexander McSween and John Tunstall were buried out behind the store and were murdered by the Murphy-Dolan faction. So I leave Lincoln, New Mexico, headed to White Oats Ghost Town in New Mexico, where Billy the Kid was known to have gone there to sell stolen cattle. Here's my bike parked outside of the No Scum Allowed Saloon in the ghost town of White Oats, New Mexico. Just on the outside of White Oaks is a cemetery that has James Bell, the deputy that was killed by Billy the Kid. He is buried there. And not only that, Alexander McSween's wife is buried there, and the first governor of New Mexico is also buried in that cemetery. I leave there, and now I'm headed to Fort Sumner, New Mexico, where Billy the Kid spent a lot of time and he was shot and killed by Pat Garrett. Billy the Kid in. This is the spot out in this field where Billy the Kid was shot and killed by Pat Garrett. This picture of this house shows the house in the corner where Pete Maxwell's room was, where Billy the Kid walked into, and in the dead of the night, Pat Garrett was sitting there and shot him dead. This marker marks the spot where Billy the Kid was shot and killed by Pat Garrett. It's sitting over the spot where the house once stood. Henry McCarty, alias William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid, died here, killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett, July 14, 1881. Just a few yards beyond the spot where the marker is, where Billy the Kid fell, is the Pecos River. And looking back this way is looking back towards the graveyard where Billy the Kid was buried the next day. Here is the gravesite of Billy the Kid. or at least the representation of where he is. The headstone marker is in the center of the cemetery, and it's not exactly where he's buried, I do not believe. But this is his headstone. And a much younger me next to it. Billy the Kid's elusive tombstone. Billy the Kid's tombstone was stolen in 1950. For 26 years it remained a mystery until 1976 when it was recovered in Granbury, Texas by Joe Bowen. Stolen again on February 8, 1981, recovered February 12th in Huntington Beach, California. Governor Bruce King arranged for D. Boca County Sheriff Big John McBride to fly to Los Angeles, California via Texas International Airlines to return the marker. Chamber officials with Jairus P. Garrett officially reset the marker in iron shackles May 30th, 1981. And that concluded my trip. I had to just get back on the road and head back to Fort Hood, Texas. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.